welcome to another episode of Choose Your Destiny with me, your host, Nev Kragulevich. And today I have a tremendous pleasure to introduce you to my guest, Kafi London. Hello, Kafi, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Nev. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me onto the show today. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to have so much fun with you today.
Likewise. Now, sometimes things get missed in my ESL head, and so I hope I have pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, that's correct. It is Kafi and it is spelled Kafi. A lot of people think I mispronounce it, but I tell them it's my name. I know how to pronounce my name. It's Kafi, Kafi, and last name London. That's correct.
Excellent. Now, are you consequently from London by chance?
I am. I actually was born and raised in London. And just for full disclosure, because sometimes this throws people off, is and I think you will appreciate this message and this journey. I actually have a beautiful, wonderful, wonderful last name. Sometimes it becomes a bit of a mouthful. I'm very proud of my name and I love my name. Kafi London is in fact a childhood nickname that when I was growing up, everyone used to call me Kafi London, Kafi London. So I've just adopted that as my name, Kafi London. So I have a very beautiful, wonderful, full of many, many consonants, long last name, but I go by Kafi London just by pure ease for everyone involved. So, but I am proudly who I am, and Kafi London is who I'm known as today. Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I actually mostly go by Nev K.
There you go.
So people, it is a lot of letters out there, and so unless I am back home,
Yes.
I am Nev K, and that is perfectly okay with me.
Yeah, so you understand. So yeah, I love my name both ways, but for branding, for purposes of public, it's just Kafi London, and that's just and it's perfectly fine.
I love it, and it fits you absolutely wonderfully.
Thank you so much.
So now, Kafi, tell us, what is it that you do?
What is it that I do? Oh, okay. Well, I'm excited. I have an interesting background, but what I do now is I help women on the verge of burnout really reconnect with their mind, their body, and what I say, their feminine superpower. So that's exactly what I do today. Yes.
Excellent. Now, I'm curious, how do you do what you do?
How do I do? Really, I'm going to start by telling you a bit about my journey of how I got here, and that may provide some explanation. So, for many, many years, and I say more than 2 decades, and I say this just to be funny because I say I started when I was 7, but that wasn't true. But more than 20 years, I was an IT consultant. So I was in the world of IT consulting. I was a senior manager, and I had huge, large clients like Coca-Cola, Hewlett Packard, some of the large, big names. And I enjoyed what I did, travel the world, helping them implement IT systems is what I did. So did training and documentation and various things for them. And, for a long time, I did love that career. And then it happened probably a couple of years ago now when I got completely burnt out. When I say burnt out, I got fried like a potato. I was like, oh, that steam coming out your ears where I was just feeling unfulfilled by what I was doing. There was a gap in my heart and I felt there was something missing in my life. So long story short is I took a career break. It was the most difficult thing I'd ever done in my life, but I decided to take a career break. And during that period of time, I decided just to take a pivot. I mean, I had no plans. I needed to refine myself. And in that journey, I discovered that there were other women like me as I started to do what I was doing, and they needed help. I had no help. I was alone. I was just floating out there doing my thing, trying to find myself. And now I find that I'm doing my life's best work, which is by helping other women like me who at the time were very, very, or are very successful in what they do, professional women, entrepreneurs, but they're just on the verge of like, and so I want them to know that there is someone out there to help them, and that's what I do, is to help them in various different formats, but help them reconnect with who they are. Yeah.
I love that. And, the reason that I do this show, and not that you have asked, but it does go along with this same concept, is that I have found a lot of people who are in careers that are no longer fulfilling to them. And so the reason I wanted to create this show is to really inspire people that there's multiple ways to make
Mhm.
money and
Yeah.
create it and start living life that really obviously provides with income but fulfills your heart. And I'm super glad that you have shared that story because I think it's an inspiration, not just for women, but I would
Yeah.
argue for men as
Yeah.
well as the individuals who might have a very fluid gender identity. So I think your story is very inspirational for everybody out there to say it's okay to try something else once you hit a place where you're no longer fulfilled.
Yes, absolutely, Nev. And one of the things I would say is that this is where I got to is I knew that there was a fire in my belly, like a fire, like a raging flame. When I say that, I mean excitement. And I knew I had to light that flame. And I know it sounds really weird and kooky for some people, but this was what I was feeling. And in what I was doing, even though I was really good at it, and I will say I was very well compensated for what I was doing. But that flame, that fire in my belly was starting to dim and I'd lost myself. I'm like, who am I? Who am I? Who have I become? And so that was a turning point for me. And I realized that I was a smart individual and I was on fire, is what I say, I was a smart woman on fire. And so that became the impetus of the name of my company. And it's actually called Smart Women on Fire. So I tailor to women. I know there are very many people, I help some men, but mainly women. And to say, I know that you have that fire in your belly and you need to, transform, you need to get it out of you and go live your best life, just go do what you're designed to do. So we're on the same page. That's exactly it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And thank you very much for sharing that. So now we know how you got into the business. Now we know what you do. Who is a best client aside from a female, right? Like, who is the best client for you and what it is that you provide for them?
Yeah, so I identify with those, and I said women really because I am a woman, but I identify with those best who were like me. And they are those women, if you look at corporations, those women who are often senior leaders, executives, directors, managers, supervisors, and they're in charge of other people or teams. And so they have a huge responsibility on their heads. So that's one market. And for those, what happens is, on the outside, they are stoic, they are heroic, they have it all together. But on the inside, they're just balancing so many balls, and they feel like they're broken. And that was me. My journey was I was broken inside. But on the outside, you could not tell a thing. So really, I cater to those higher echelon, those high vibe women who are corporate leaders, and also entrepreneurs, because as I've also found out, you can also get burnt out as an entrepreneur as well. So as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, we start this journey. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. But there's a point. It's the same equation. You're feeling unfulfilled or you've lost your way. And so they're my two markets really. It's women. Typically, in terms of age range, I typically look at the higher echelon women, so maybe in her late 30s to 40s, 50s. So they're well established in their career. They know what they want, but they've just kind of lost their way and they're feeling really, really unfulfilled. So that's who I mainly serve. Not that I don't serve others, but that's really the core of my market and women. And just internationally all around the world and wherever they come from. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, I presume you're able to support your clients online as well as in person, yes?
Absolutely, Nev. And some of my workshops, I actually do a hybrid of workshops. I do some online and some live because it depends. So in local areas, or even if I travel, there's a workshop I do, which is it's not just because I'm very one of my passions way back when was I say dance, but just moving the body, and I'm always love fitness. So I've adapted one of the workshops, and one of the workshops is especially done live, not that it can't be done in person. So I do have an offline market where I take a workshop, and the workshop is called FEM. And FEM is all about movement. It's like therapeutic movement. So I combine movement, meditation, and mood and music. And it's very much it's a 90-minute experience. It was originally created by a lady called Bernadette Pleasant, and I've become attuned in that as I went through training through her program, and I've become it to mine in terms of burnout. And really, that is a live experience where I encourage women, and it's so emotionally freeing to get out of your head and into your body. Because so many of us overthink and overprocess things, right? So there's all this like, oh, I'm the most guilty. It's all analytical. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So FEM is an experience where in a 90-minute truly live workshop where we use music, meditation, and celebration to help the woman get out of her head and into her body. And I get excited about it because it's a really novel new way of actually moving and moving emotion out of your body, all that negative emotion. So that's one way I identify is to do that is in live workshops and speaking engagements and live events. And then also I have online programs, which is I'm able to reach more of the masses and totally all around the world. So as much as I love both sides, there's a bit of both. That's my total blended model. Yes, it's online and offline. So yeah.
Excellent. I love that. And I haven't attended FEM, but it sounds like something that is very, very cool. I'm a firm believer in meditation, and I do my best to meditate every morning, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And, even if it is just for 2 minutes, it's for 2 minutes, but that's okay. That's my slice of heaven right there.
Yeah.
And as somebody who, I love dancing, I love moving and
Yeah.
using my body. And I used to be a very avid ballroom dancer competitively. I used to teach it as well.
Oh,
And,
okay.
enjoy all different moves. But what
Yeah.
I had found for me is that and in working with folks in the studio as they would come in, whether they were teachers or just students,
Yeah.
um, you can come in with all of the stress that shows up in your life, right? Like
Yeah.
kids and money and career and spouse and friends and health and all these different things that come in. And you
Yeah.
walk through the door and you're like not feeling all that great. And you put your stuff down and you put your dancing shoes on and the
Yeah.
music gets on. And by the time that 45-minute or 90-minute or whatever the class is, you go and dance, you are a different person. You are elated. You are new. You're refreshed. It's
Yeah.
just something
Yeah.
with ability to move, listen to the music, let go. And it's impossible, absolutely impossible to leave in the same stress, depressed,
I agree.
shutdown mode after they dance.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. And like you, I share a background in dance. Although femme is not about dancing, I share that background. I'm a non-trained dancer, as in I self-trained. I just do my own thing, which is moving my body. But I've done salsa dancing for years. I've done African dance, and like you, I just love moving, and it's so freeing. And that feeling of just freedom that whatever all you do is focus on the steps for that 45 minutes and you come out and you're transported. So when I found femme, it was a way of bringing movement to people without the need for choreographed movements.
Mm.
And so what's freeing about femme, I say to people are like, oh my god, is it fitness? I do fitness. I am actually a fitness instructor and I do all that. But FEM isn't one of my programs. It's basically just the ability to move your body. And what's great about FEM is if you can walk, you can do FEM. If you can move your shoulders, you can do FEM. So it's getting that emotion out of your body. The body is designed to move. And I tell people you're designed to get rid of things for your body. So let's do that together. And it's such a beautiful experience. So yeah, I'm glad we both had that connection with movement. That's amazing. Yeah.
And I that's my favorite. And then, I did mention, and so with the ballroom, there's the choreography and the whole 9 yards. But the most beautiful piece to me about dancing and movement is just, right, like just close your eyes,
Yeah.
listen to the rhythm, listen to the music, and just let it take you away. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you are silly and looking ridiculous. Who cares? Go out there and just
Yeah.
get your emotions out through, right? It's called energy in motion, emotion. So just get it out through
Exactly.
the motion.
Yeah. And I say it's motion is lotion, right? So if you've got that motion and you're moving, it's lotion for your body and it helps you move and get those joints. So Nev, I'm actually going to challenge you the next time we meet is to have a little, you can teach me a little ballroom. I don't know ballroom well, but I can certainly follow and you can teach me a step or two. I would love to do that. So
it would be my pleasure. Absolutely. Who knows? We might actually do like a dance off on a video just to choose to have fun. And then we can have the posted on Facebook, and we can have a poll, and we'll see who wins. And right, we can make a whole competition over there. I mean, I'm ready. You just let me know when.
You're like, game on. I'm like, okay, I won't get that serious, but okay, let's do it anytime. Yeah,
we're doing it. So y'all get ready and prepared. So when you see us live doing a dance off, we warned you. It is happening.
We warned you. Yeah, so much fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. So as some of the folks are listening and wanting to perhaps, right, they might be in careers, businesses that they're not satisfied with, it no longer fulfills them, and they're looking to change, they're looking to shift. What is one piece of advice as they're looking to start their own business and start a new career that perhaps you would have for the watchers and listeners?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of pieces of information. I know you asked for one, but I'm going to give a couple because I found just going through the process myself is sometimes the advice you get from people is just leave. If you don't like it, then just leave, just leave, just leave. And it's not as simple as just leaving. Often our biggest fear is where's that paycheck going to come from, right? Because that's often the biggest fear. I've done the surveys, done the results, and I went through that. So you can leave cold turkey and just like, okay, I want to start my business. And to be honest, full disclosure, I did that, right? When I was ready, I didn't just quit on the spot. I gave a month's notice and I left and went that way. But really, I would say the first thing is one of the hardest things is to really dig deep and know that what you're in, wherever you are right now, if it's unfulfilling, then it's time for change. And know that that journey for change is going to be challenging. But if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Right. So often some people are in and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to stay here. Well, at least I get, but no, but that's not fulfilling. So if you know you want to change your trajectory, you want to change your life, then first of all, you need to make that commitment, not to anyone else, but to yourself. And believe that you can change. And this does not have to be the end. I think this is where I was. I was like, I was done with being a statistic. I didn't want to just be another one who was on autopilot. I called myself an auto zombie. Literally every day I was going in and out. But I had such a hole in my heart. So that's the first thing is number one. Secondly, I would say that if you do have an opportunity to save up and have a bit of a nest egg, depending on what you want to do, I would strongly encourage you to do that in conjunction with something I call an escape plan. So if you're in a job or a situation, have, I kind of branded myself as a corporate escape plan. So in that plan, it's all about what you're going to do and know that it may take 6, 9, 12 months, 18 months. It's not going to happen overnight. If you want it to be sustainable, as in you really want to create a future out of it, it's going to take time. So what you may have to do is work two things at once. You may have to, in your day job, be open and like, yes, but know in the background you're working on your plan B, right? You're working on your plan B, you're getting your ducks in a row, you're doing analysis, you'll start working on what it is. And there are so many programs around. There's people like Nev or myself that can help you with that transition, but it's starting to get in your right frame of mind. Now, one other thing I'm going to say, Nev, because this is super, super, super important. Not everyone tells you this up front or tell your audiences up front. And that is to start putting yourself in a situation where you want to be, mainly with the people you're surrounding yourself by. If you continue being in the same environment, if you continue with, your coworkers, nothing wrong with them, love them to death. I'm sure you love all your coworkers. But if you're looking to change, you need to start surrounding yourself with people who you want to be more like. Because until you do that, even when you leave, let's say you found if you're passionate, you started following it, if you're still associated with those that are stuck where you once were, you're going to be pulled back. You're never going to leave the nest. And you can still love them on one level, but then it's time to take flight and start looking for new people to take you up the ladder into where you want to be. So there's some tips. I know you only asked for one, but these are really, really key things that will help you really take flight and stay flight. So.
I love that, and I absolutely agree with it. I was actually just prior to us jumping on the call and chatting, just working on my fifth book now. And, I was just literally putting in a chapter of what if you want to change career from where you are. And I was talking about creating that financial runway, right? When you make a decision that you want to do it, great, but
Yeah.
start putting money in, right? Like
Yeah.
almost like a squirrel putting in nuts, getting ready
Yeah.
for the winter. You need to be that squirrel and start putting in money as much as you can, because the longer runway you give yourself, the greater potential of success you have and the less stress you're creating on yourself as well. And so I do absolutely agree with that. Come up with a plan, and I also love that you talked about the network, because they do tell us that the net worth that we experience is the average of the five people we spend the most time with. And when I talk about net worth, I'm not talking just dollar amount, right? I am talking everything. I'm talking health, I'm talking mindset, I'm talking money, I'm talking everything. So if you want to change from where you are and what you're doing, you got to change who you surround yourself with, because you're right? If I am very much stuck in my own little thing and you're spending time with me and you are wanting to shoot for the stars, I'm either going to tell you that you're crazy and you just need to, you know, get it out of your system and like, right? Like go on a date, go get a drink, go on a cruise, right?
Yeah.
And then come back and everything is going to be fine. But that's not what we're talking here, right? So you got to find a new network of people to support you. And it sounds like to me that the programs you have will allow people not just to learn how to do all these things, but will also connect them with like minded people who are in the same place. And now you have this network of people who also have this burning desire, they're women on fire,
Yeah.
that can support.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that's half the battle. Is what happens is, and I don't get into this a lot because you never know who we're talking to, but I believe we're all operating at different vibrations or different frequencies. So all energy in the world, right? It's all
Yes.
energy. Whether we think we're not part of it, we are energy, and that's what we're in. And what happens is, for years, especially in a corporate position, let's say, or wherever you are, you're operating at a certain vibration, whatever that is. It's just this vibe that's going through. It may be good, bad, indifferent. But when you start getting to a point where you're not feeling fulfilled, that energy is at a certain category. When you start thinking you want to do something different, you're ready to change this, it's going to be fear that's going to set in. We can talk about it in a minute. It's going to be fear. But you've already started changing that vibration level a little bit. So the whole idea is, when you feel that vibration, that higher little vibration, you got to start reaching up to people in that higher level. If you're not, you're going to stay exactly where you are for years to come. And I was stuck for years and years and years. I told you 2 decades. I didn't know that I had, I didn't know I was going to get out. I just believed that's what it was. And because that's who I surrounded myself with. So until you can be, you are conscious enough to realize there are different vibrations, you need to step up to that higher level of vibration and start connecting with other people who are thinking, thinking, feeling, just where you're going to, will you be successful? So you're absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I 100% agree with you. I always talk about everything around us is energy, including us and our
Yeah.
thoughts and beliefs. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I think everybody can relate to, the stuff of, right? When, say, something amazing happens on your day in school or work or out in public, you go out on a perfect date with this fantastic person and everything is lit up, and right, like, I mean, you are skipping home, you're dancing, life is beautiful, nothing hurts. It doesn't matter if the sun is shining or the rain is falling, if it's cold, if it's hot, it's perfect to you. And then
Yeah.
you walk in a house and say that maybe you live with roommates or with your friends or family or whatever, and say that there's two of them and they got into some sort of argument.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you can literally feel it, and you can feel your elation just drain right out. And that's that energy I think that you were talking about, of where we sometimes tend to operate, and how whatever is prevalent, and lower frequencies tend to be easier to fall into, just because of the gravitational pull, and the way the physics kind of work is just easier to fall into it as opposed to rise up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is as human nature, the body wants to be comfortable, so the body's going to go back to what is the default. So while in your heart, you know, you want to break out of that, you know, that same energy, what happens is your body's going to pull you back. So you'll fall back into whatever that lower vibe is, and you've got to fight everything in you to say, no, hold on, this is not what I want. I do want to rise up. I do want to do something different. I do want to break out of this. So that's what I've gone through as a journey myself, and I know others that have. So that's one of the hardest things, is just knowing that it's surrounding yourself with those positive and finding them. You've got to find them and then connect with them, and change the way your life is planned out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you by chance have a recent success story with one of your clients?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have several stories, but one more specifically. So I had someone who, and hers was more physical in nature. So sometimes it's mental, it's physical, whatever. And she was, no, she was in a position where she was in a job that was fine, but she was overwhelmed, overworked, and overweight in some aspects as well. And what happened with her is that she knew she wanted to change her trajectory. She wanted to get out of the job where she was in, but she was so consumed with what she was doing. Her whole body and bodily function and everything were just dysfunctional. So the first step was actually, before she could even get her mind right, before even doing that, I put her on one of my programs, which is a 28-day journey of just really believing in yourself and really jumpstarting your wellness. So with that, what it was a 28-day journey. I actually call it the Red Dress Project. And it was all about just reconnecting with yourself, getting your health and well-being right back on track first for 28 days. And then from there, she had clarity. Now she had clarity. She goes, yeah, you're right. I'm in the wrong job because it's doing this, it's doing that. She actually realized that she was actually, for lack of a better term, working herself to death in the job she was. So it was everything else, the overwhelmed balance in life. So that was a huge success for her. And after 28 days, she had clarity. Okay, I need to make plans to get out of here. And so she then transitioned into working out a longer term plan to start transitioning out and working on her escape plan. And she's doing well, and we're scoping her business idea, her model, on what she's doing now. So yeah, she's doing great. So yeah, that's just one example.
That's absolutely fantastic. I really loved that example, and just listening to you talk about that, I mean, I remember, my own story of not being completely fulfilled. My sister, she used to work in corporate America, well, not corporate America, corporate Serbia. Let's just be honest of where the woman is. But she worked for many international banks, and working in banks is brutal, absolutely brutal. And I'm not talking the front, the teller, which that alone has its own challenges, but I'm talking of the back of the house.
Yeah.
And it was just brutal. And I mean, I remember I would see her, and it was like a walking zombie. It would break my heart to see her, right? She is a very gregarious person. She's very joyous. She loves people. She loves traveling. I mean, she lights up any room that she walks in, right? Like, that's her energy. And now
Yeah.
she's working at this low energy place. We just shut her down. And at one point, I think she finally realized that I can't do this anymore. And she just broke down. Um, One night, talking to her husband, of saying, I can't do this, right? Like, if I have to go to work one more day, like, I'm just gonna end my life. This is horrible. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And at that moment, they agreed that you got to quit this. This is not okay, right? Like, this is unhealthy. And you have kids. So
Yeah.
by this point, she had the kiddos. Well, she still has the kiddos.
Yeah.
But even though they were little, I mean, they see mom being stressed, and mom being unfulfilled, and mom doing something that doesn't light mom up. And kids learn by not doing what we tell them, they do by what we do, even though it's wrong, even though we tell them don't do this. The kids learn by seeing what it is that we do. And I think all of those things combined, she quit all that, started her own business, open her own companies, and right, like she's a completely different person right now. I mean, it's night and day, absolutely night and day.
Yeah, there's an inner energy and inner light that comes from us, and I think what happened, at least with me, and I know many people, because I think the statistics out there say, and I don't know the actual number, and I need to go back. I did remember, but I can't remember right now. But something like, probably 80 plus or 90% of people are in careers that are really draining and unfulfilling, that they really do not enjoy. And, and I know every Sunday night I used to have an anxiety. Every Sunday afternoon about 12, I'd be like, oh my God, I've got to go back to work. I've got to go back to work. And I was in a really well paid position. So I should have been running to the office, but I was like, literally, it was just awful. And so, like I said, I was deep, dark inside. And now having gone through the other side, come out the other end, I mean, I look forward to Mondays. I mean, Mondays are just like, hey, is it a journey? Sure, it's a journey, but I'm proudly saying I am doing my life's best work, and I feel fulfilled by what I'm doing, and I love what I'm doing and helping others. And I think that's just getting to know that you don't have to do what society says you have to do. I think a lot of us are stuck because society, parents, the environment forces us into a situation. And I think you and I have a common mentor in place where we know that, it's not about living your life by default, but design the life you want, right? So live it by design and not default. So I encourage everyone, if you feel that your life is in default and you're just going through the motions of like, yeah, then think about if that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, for the next X how many years. And if not, then start making plans to change it.
Yeah. And, people, it's really interesting when you talk to people about money, they get very funny for
Yeah.
multiplicity of reasons. And you had said something that I think it's incredibly powerful, so I want to repeat it.
Yeah.
You had said you were making quite a bit of money, right? Like you were making good income, and
Yeah.
yet you were beyond depressed came Sunday. I used to hate Sundays too.
Yeah.
And right, and I try to get people to understand it's really not the amount of money that is coming in. It has to be how that money shows up, what you do with it. So there's multiplicity of things. But
Yeah.
I am willing to bet, and I don't know this, we never talked about this stuff, but I'm willing to bet that even that income that was coming from that job was something that you were wanting to just repel as quickly as possible because you had this attachment to the negativity that was bringing you in that had to do with the job. Would that be even remotely correct?
Yeah, what I would say is that as you climb the corporate ladder, or what happens, you get trapped in careers because often it's because of money, because we're like, sometimes maybe living paycheck to paycheck. Or if you're a senior individual, you're probably out of that. But you're like, well, I've got the house, I've got the car, I've got this, I've got that. And then what happens is you have maybe money, but not the time to enjoy it. I mean, you can't go on vacation because you're too busy. Or if you're on vacation, you're still working. If you're traveling, they're like, hey, call in, do this, do that. And okay, but it balances. And what I found is that, having the dollars in the bank didn't bring fulfillment. But you have to go through that process because often if you don't have it, you're like, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want the money, I want the money, I want the money. So you have to go through that journey of having the money, knowing having the money right under your belt, and then realize, well, I'm still not happy. There's still a hole in my heart. There's still a hole in my life that isn't fulfilled. So it's getting that balance. Money will allow you to have control and make choices. And I think that's how you best use the money. If you are in a position where you have a good paying job, is make plans immediately to start, using that money for some sort of investment. So it gives you, in your terms, you call it a runway, I call it an escape plan, same thing. But start having, a bucket of money, and you'll need more than you realize, right? But have that, start putting it away, because that will give you the power for control to do what you want. And I feel that once you have that in your grasp, then you can say, hey, I'm not tied to this job or whatever, I don't like doing that. And I have the freedom to break free because I can survive. And there are options out there. And having money without being fulfilled, stress with success doesn't mean anything. So you're really killing yourself. So, so.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. There's, money without other things is absolutely useless.
Yeah.
And, I'm the guy who talks about money and loves the strategies and stuff that you can do. And One of the strategies I always talk about is the moment you get a job, start putting money in, investing, get assets, and start creating passive income
Yeah.
so that when you have multiple streams of passive income, you can do whatever you want in your life because money is coming in. So now you're not creating this corporate golden handcuffs that you talked about of I have to keep the job because I have to have money come from somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
start creating a plan and it will eventually come in. And I absolutely love that. Now, I
Yeah.
wanted to, oh, sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say something related to money because it's really interesting. I came to this discovery. I think as a successful leaders in corporate or individuals who work for a job, often even though we think we're wealthy, right? So we have a higher paying job, maybe a six-figure paying job, or five figures, whatever it is. What happens really is if you are not astute to how you're getting that money, it's really you've been brainwashed into thinking it. So what I realized at one point, even though you're earning a really good salary, that is a single source. If you ever lose that job, you have lost your single source because you put all your heart, your soul, like so. If you are earning that great job, but that's your single source. You're better off having 4 or 5 things that have different sources of income. And I think that as a corporate employee, that's the only thinking we have. Okay, you may have investments and other thing, but we're like, okay, we're tuned in. The job is giving me my stream of income. Whereas when you switch gears and you become more entrepreneurial or you start having different sources or investments, then you realize that you have more flexibility. Because if one of those sources go away, you still have rivers flowing in from all the other sources. So the people who are at the most disadvantaged is those people who have a high paying job, one stream of income. They're the ones who are actually the most disadvantaged, I think. So
Yeah, absolutely. Because typically our expenses grow with our income, right? So that's that when you were talking about, yes, I'm a high earner,
yeah.
but I have this fancy house that has to go with it, and a fancy car that has to go with it, and this
Yeah.
kid has to go to this private school, and that kid has to go to that private school, and I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, and now you really have imprisoned yourself to this
That's it right there.
sole
Yeah. Yeah.
income source that if it dries up for whatever reason, whether voluntary or involuntary,
Yeah.
that's what's creating a lot of stress. And as you have said, if you're able to parse it out into multiplicity of things, who cares
Yeah.
if one little branch falls, the tree is still standing strong.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. So yeah. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to share that.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing it. Now, I am curious to know what is your all time favorite book?
My on-time favorite book. So my on-time, I have a number of books, but one of the ones that I love right now, and it's really, really great in my transition in growing, is one called, and I always get this the wrong way around. I think it's The War by Stephen Pressfield, and I know it's The War of Art or The Art of War. I've got to remember. I think it's The War of Art. I believe it's that way around, but it's by Stephen Pressfield, and it's a fantastic book. It's all about procrastination. It's all about staying stuck and doing something that you shouldn't be doing and moving out of that. So it's a great book. And look it up because I always get it because there's two books out there. One's The War of Art and one's Art of War. But the one I'm talking about by Stephen Pressfield. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that book, but it's a great book.
No, I have not. I haven't heard of it. So thank you very much for that tip.
Amazing book
That's
and a great read. Yeah, just look it up by that author. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So thank you. And we are slowly but surely approaching the end of the show, as sad as that is, because I could talk to you for forever. But I also understand you have a life and want to enjoy it. And so I wanted to leave folks with of if they wanted to connect with you, if they wanted to learn more, if they wanted to sign up for some of the amazing programs that you have shared, what is the best way for them to do that? Where can they go?
Sure. One thing I would say is if you feel that you're on the verge of burnout, especially ladies, if you're on the verge of work burnout, is where it all stems from, either personally, professionally, wherever it is, then you know that you're not alone. You have to get help. Don't stay stuck where you are. You have to get unstuck, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. All right. So the best way to connect with me is via my website, which is Smart Women on Fire. So Smart Women menonfire.com, and that's where you can find out all about my programs. I also have a free gift on there where you can find out a little bit about if you are staying where you are. At the time of this recording, my free gift is all about 7 strategies to be happier at work. We switch that out from time to time. So if you are stuck in a position where you have to be there's some things that you can do to even get through the week and get through the day. But that's the best way to reach me, smartwomenonfire.com.
Excellent. Well, there you have it, folks. If you feel stuck in the career, the job that you currently have, and you absolutely hate it and are looking for a way to get unstuck, find a group of people that are like minded, find women who are willing to support you and build you up into whatever it is that your burning desire is. Miss London is the person you want to connect with and visit her website. Kafi, thank you so much for being on the show and would love to have you back whenever you're able to.
Anytime. And game on with that dance little thing. We're going to do it, right?
Oh, we're doing this. And you know what? I know you're a lady and I know I'm not supposed to say this, but you're going down.
Oh,
There.
game on. Game on now. Game on. All right. Thanks so much, Nev. Great chatting with you today. Appreciate it. Anytime.
Likewise. Bye bye.